Hi, welcome to Marketing Monday. My name is Natalie Armstrong-Motin with Marketing Resolution. Today we're going to talk about breaking through self-imposed limitations in building and marketing your mediation practice. So, get things started off right. Got my cafe mocha here. That is perfect for a cold, rainy day in Normandy. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're getting your week off on the right foot, thinking about marketing and promoting your mediation. While I'm talking, say hello in the chat. Let me know that you're here. Let me know where you're from, what your practice is about. Just say hi. All right. So let's talk about these self-imposed limitations. There's an experiment that's frequently talked about when we're talking about behavioral conditioning, and it involves fleas in jars. Hang with me. While this may or may not be a formal scientific experiment, it is frequently used as an anecdote or a metaphor for limitations imposed by environment or conditioning. So in this fleas in jar experiment, fleas are placed in a jar with a lid on the top. The fleas naturally jump really high, as you may know, but when there's a lid on the jar, they eventually learn to jump just high enough to avoid hitting the lid. And after a while, even when the lid is removed, the fleas continue to jump only to the height where the lid was. It's as if they've been conditioned to believe that there's a limit above them. And this is often used to illustrate learned behavior or self-imposed limitations. And though this flea experiment is probably more metaphorical than a rigorous scientific study, it does demonstrate the principles of learned behavior, conditioning, and limitations resulting from environmental restrictions, which are really well documented in behavioral psychology studies. So if you're a mediator trying to grow your practice, you've probably faced challenges that make you question whether or not you're really on the right track. Maybe your marketing efforts aren't paying off, or it feels like you're stuck working with the same small client base. So believe it or not, a lot of these limitations are probably self-imposed. By understanding the psychology behind these mental barriers, you can find ways to break free from them and take your practice to the next level. So I've made a list of 8 behavioral psychology concepts or insights that I think will really help you overcome any self-limiting beliefs and encourage you to thrive and build the practice that you really want to have for yourself. So number 1 on my list is learned helplessness. Don't let your marketing defeats hold you back. If you've never heard of learned helplessness, it's a term that was coined by psychologist Martin Seligman. And it describes how people and animals stop trying after facing repeated failures. This can happen to us neutrals as well. If you've tried different marketing strategies and they haven't worked, then you might feel like nothing will ever change. So why even bother? What you can do is, instead of focusing on what hasn't worked, shift your mindset and try something new. Maybe your marketing isn't hitting the right audience, or you haven't yet found the right niche. So experiment with new approaches, whether it's beefing up your online presence or reaching out to new networks, maybe even offering more highly specialized services. Don't be afraid to pivot until you find what works. The second on my list is something called conditioned thinking. I think it's important that if we're thinking small about our practices, we need to stop that. So to make this point, think of the elephant story. Young elephants are tied with a rope that they can't break. And when they grow bigger, they don't even try to break free, even though they totally could. The same thing can happen in your practice. You may have conditioned yourself to think small, like a small elephant. What you can do instead to challenge your assumptions, set bigger goals, and go after larger cases or new client markets. Sometimes the only thing holding you back is your mindset. So take a good look at your practice and figure out where you can aim higher. Number 3 is fixed versus growth mindset. So you want to be open to learning and trying new things. Carol Dweck, she did some research on mindsets that show how some people believe their abilities are fixed. This means they avoid challenges for fear of failure. On the other hand, people with a growth mindset see every challenge as a chance to learn and improve. Which one sounds more like you? What you can do, embrace a growth mindset. So step outside of your comfort zone, whether that's by learning new skills or tackling a different kind of case or trying out a fresh marketing tactic, maybe webinars or writing articles. Even things that don't go perfectly the first time, you will grow from the experience, and that's what really matters. Number 4, you've probably heard of this one. It's called the Pygmalion effect. And this is that when you believe that your practice will grow, it will grow. The Pygmalion effect tells us that people tend to rise to the expectations that are set for them. So if you've got low expectations for your mediation practice because you've maybe faced tough competition or you've got limited experience, you might not be pushing yourself hard enough to succeed. What to do? Start out by setting some ambitious, realistic, but ambitious goals for your practice. Believe in your potential for growth. If you expect your practice to expand, you'll take actions like maybe networking more, investing in your marketing, seeking out bigger clients. Those things will lead to growth. And then surround yourself with people who believe in you and your practice as much as you do. Number 5 is the scarcity mindset. You want to get creative with the resources that you have. I think it's really easy to fall into a scarcity mindset, which basically means that you're so focused on what you don't have, money, time, connections, that you'll fail to see what you do have. For example, you might think that you can't market your practice effectively because you don't have a huge budget, right? So what you can do instead is shift your focus to the resources you do have and then get a little creative. You can use low-cost marketing methods like creating content, blogs, videos, social media posts, articles, etc., that really showcase your experience. Join your target markets organizations and network online as well as in person. You don't need a massive budget, just a little resourcefulness and the right connections to get your name out there. Number 6 on my list is the self-fulfilling prophecy. What you believe becomes your reality. So the self-fulfilling prophecy, it's a psychological phenomenon where your beliefs influence your actions. This in turn leads to the outcome you expected. So if you believe that your mediation practice will struggle to grow, you might, without even having realized it, avoid the actions that could actually help it grow, like marketing or networking or asking for referrals. What you can do is start believing in your success and act accordingly. Visualize what success looks like for your practice and start taking steps in that direction. Small wins like landing a new client or getting positive feedback, these build momentum and reinforce your belief that your practice can grow. Number 7 is breaking psychological barriers. I think a really good example of this is the 4-minute mile. Before Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, no one thought that it was possible. But once he did it, lots of runners followed in his footsteps, proving that the real barrier was psychological. Sometimes the same is true for us when we're trying to build a business, build a mediation practice. You might think that you've hit a ceiling in terms of growth, but it's entirely possible that that's just a mental block. So what you can do, aim for your own 4-minute mile. Set a bold, audacious goal for your practice, whether it's landing a certain number of clients in a specified amount of time, expanding into a new niche, or launching a marketing campaign that maybe seems a little intimidating at first. But once you break that barrier, you'll realize that the limits that you thought existed were possibly all in your head. Number 8, and the last for today's Marketing Monday, is called locus of control. You want to take ownership of your practice's success. There was a psychologist, Julian Rotter, and he has a theory that explains how people view their ability to influence their own outcomes. Those with an external locus of control believe that outside forces control their destiny, which can lead to passivity. And if you think that market trends or luck are the main factors that determine your success, you might not take the actions needed to grow your practice. So instead, shift to an internal locus of control. Take responsibility for the growth of your practice by making really intentional decisions, whether that's improving your marketing, refining your services, or expanding your network. But by believing that your actions determine your success, you will be more empowered to make the changes needed to grow your practice. When I was a kid, my mom used to remind me all the time, the choices you make dictate your life. That's exactly what she was talking about. So whether it's mindset, early experiences, or outside expectations, self-imposed limitations can hold neutrals back from reaching their full potential. But apply these lessons, one of them, all of them that I've talked about here from behavioral psychology, and you can recognize and then break through some of those barriers. Take control of your practice's growth. Experiment with new marketing tactics, new technology. Push yourself to aim higher. The success that you're aiming for, it's well within your reach. All you have to do is believe it and act on it. So again, my name is Natalie Armstrong-Motin with Marketing Resolution. Please let me know if you've got questions, issues, challenges, things you'd like for me to address in future videos. I'll make a video just for you. That's it for me on this Monday. I hope your week is off to a great start. Take care of yourself. Be good humans. Bye-bye.